Here we are, guys. Final rounds between Nicov and Sitaux. And we thought there was going to be way more drama in this series because we thought Nicov would need wins because Classic Pro would get wins and Barls would get wins. Well, Classic Pro didn't get any wins and Barls didn't get any wins. So Nicov can actually get swept here. And Nicov is still at least in third place and playoffs. The only thing that really changes in this series is if Nicov gets to 3-0. If Nicov wins 3-0, he goes to second place in playoffs, and Sitaux falls into third. But it's good practice for these two before they eventually move into the playoffs, T-West.
Yep, and these are our first live games, so they know the implications ahead of time, as long as they're paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we had a case... I mean, the Barls series happened after the Classic Pro series. So when he was losing 3-0, he didn't know that Classic Pro also lost 3-0, so he probably felt horrible because he was thinking Classic Pro would get a win or two.
Yeah, especially some of the sets that are played as Rex. So you might see someone else's Rex cast and then go back into your set thinking, oh, okay, this is what I need. And then all of a sudden you have a different result.
Yeah, agreed. So I think the matchup is actually more along the lines of what I thought we were going to see before the season started. I thought we would see Magyaris all the time because of the great scouts, and then Hindustanis for the same. But we've actually seen a lot of like skirm spear play. We've seen Byzantines, we've seen Armenians, we've seen Lithuanians, and then of course we've seen like Romans and Chinese. So one of the rare instances where I actually think it might be Scout opening v Scout opening on Rocky Forest.
Yeah, and kind of interesting with how much we have seen Cav Archers throughout a variety of maps that finally we're going to get a Magyaris game here.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like they don't have the eco. That's the concern, but it feels like a map that's kind of perfect for them. Of course, any map where you can fully wall, Magyars get way worse, but you can't do that due to the rocks. Funny thing about Nicov, I think chat will appreciate this. So, Nicov, well, I guess the first aspect of this isn't funny, just interesting, but he did a lot of training with his teammates on the Wonders team, and then also just young up-and-coming Argentinians. So Nicov, honestly, and I told him straight up, I said he should be really proud of himself because what Prisma and Lucho have accomplished, I think, is because Nicov is spending so much time, like, supporting them. And so Lucho played really well in Gold and will be Platinum next season. So after that, I went to Nicov, said all those things, like, bro, a lot of this is because of you. Like, it's clear, like, this next generation of Argentinians doing really well. And Nicov goes, I'm so happy for them. He goes, I'm sick of people saying that he's the next Nicov. He goes, guys, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not retiring. He goes, stop retiring me. Stop acting like I'm going to the retirement home. So I thought that was funny. I hadn't told chat yet.
Oh, man. Nicov going to feel what it's like to be doubt soon.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And Nicov also said, like, it's so funny to listen to him. I mean, he was in Gold before after getting relegated. And he was like, I've experienced that hell before. I don't want to go back.
He knows what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen to good players. And every time the good players that go down are really disappointed. And then they bounce right back, you know, and they get the wins and should be fine.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of good players, I'm looking at Nikov's elo. He's been grinding on the ladder. He's at 2885.
Yeah, he's insane.
That is really high up there.
Yeah, he's insane. And also finding time to do practice sets as well. So like he really
TTL,
takes
right?
It seriously. So and I thought that Nicov sneakily had an amazing year in 2024. Now, a lot of that was the few team game tournaments we had. It felt like he filled that captain role wonderfully. But in a lot of those tournaments, there was the 1v1 portion where he dominated. And yeah, I think in the past, you'd think Nicov would throw some games, or Nicov would like forget eco upgrades and kind of struggle to play the long game. But he's kind of fixed all those problems.
Yeah, we always talk about Nicov and the eco upgrades, but it's not that much of a meme anymore. We see he's clicking double bit axe as soon as he gets up to feudal.
Yeah, he literally got bullied by Twitch chats into becoming a better macro player. So I think it shows that bullying does work. I also can speak to that. My farms are actually way better because I got sick of people making fun of me for it.
Ah,
So-
okay. I gotcha.
I mean, I also know there was the one time I was playing Vikings on Arabia like 3 or 4 months ago. You happened to be casting my games. Everything else was happening. I was at a total civ disadvantage, but I was destroying, and you zoomed in on that one farm. Do you remember that?
Definitely.
Yeah. So,
If it's one tile off, everyone's gonna see it.
yeah. Well, it is scouts here for Nicov. Thanks for that, by the way. And it's going to be scouts from Sitaux.
Hey, just be happy to eat islands isn't in the map pool.
I'm trying to scare people off from my actual island strategies. So it's a weird one. I just haven't seen a lot of this. So I'm actually still gathering some information myself on how players are going to need to address this. I mean, technically, you shouldn't have to be that concerned if you're Sitaux right now. You do have some spears, but he's going to go for the safe play. And regardless of opening, I've really liked the early tower on the wood line if it's near the gold. And it is. So it kind of blocks off that whole area now.
Yeah, and especially against the scout plus spear combination, it basically just keeps the spears away to the point where now your spears are just going to be able to defend, and you're not going to have to worry about any scouts getting into that area.
Yeah. Now, Nikov's gold is not near where he's taking wood. So if he were to tower his wood line, his gold is then exposed for later. He's got a spear at home defending as he's just knocking on the walls. But as long as Nicov pulls away the scouts here... Oof, that's brutal.
Oof.
That's absolutely brutal.
You were saying?
Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely not what you want there with getting hits on the scouts from those spears. And he took so much damage on that second scout, too.
Yeah, and it's a frustrating situation. I think this is actually why, like, what we're seeing is why we've seen a lot of skirm play, spear skirm, because you can play defensive enough where the opponent can't do damage, even with the Magyars against the scouts. And then it eventually just turned into some players saying, well, I just won't even make the scouts.
Yeah. And also something I've been seeing from players these days in scouts builds is sometimes they skip horse collar just to get a couple more spears out. Now we have Sitaux doing horse collar and Nicov skipping it. I know it's Nicov in an eco upgrade, but
yeah,
that will come back to bite him in that castle age transition when he's not going to have quite as much wood available.
Yeah, I've seen this a couple times. I mean, the reason you don't see horse collar early on these fast builds is so you can get the timing on the scout numbers, but then also the archer range. But if you have the cheap scouts, I really would like to see horse collar come in. And Sitaux has that. Sitaux snagged a villager. And again, it's just an issue for Nicov right now. He didn't do enough offensively. He then lost that scout. And now he's trying to transition into archers, and Sitau's already doing that. So this is a very good start for Sitaux.
Yeah, and it's tricky because now that gold, as you said, isn't near a wood line. And just, being a few extra tiles away where a tower wouldn't be able to defend both makes it such a much more difficult map for Nicov to play.
Yeah, I think Nicov correctly realizing he needs a few more scouts. Sometimes you have to fight that feeling, and you're worried about being later to Castle Age, but alternatively, you could have a good Castle Age time, but you could just lose everything before you get there if you don't have enough army. So I like the additional scouts from Nicov.
Yeah. It's an extra tricky decision when you're against a camel civ, like the Hindustanis, because then it feels like if you overinvest into scouts, a couple of camels come out and just kill your scout or light cav army in early castle.
Yep, agreed. Now, does Nicov know about the range? He hasn't been over there. He saw the range a while ago. So he should know that something's coming. But he doesn't see it yet. Walling around the gold. Now, this is what you can do. If you get the walls to the edge of the map, your gold's protected. And then you can still tower the woodline and the berries on the other side.
Ooh, nice quick wall there from Nicov to keep the villa alive.
It's pretty rare that you see the idle eco count so similar. It's 244 to 247. It was actually 244 for both. So...
it feels like when you have a scouts build, it's something that's very clean most of the time, and players aren't going to have much idle time. And then it's just moving the eco around pretty simply. You get the farms, you get the wood line, and as long as you're defending the spears, it's not like you're spending a lot of time running vills from archers or quick walling or having your eco idled.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's just not something I look at that frequently, honestly, unless games get really messy. It's been pretty clean. Sitaux just tried to split scouts there to pull Nicov out of position. Nicov didn't allow it to happen. And Nicov should complete the walls. Sitaux still hasn't moved out with the archers. I would almost like to see him loop to the south and not go to the middle right now. That could be interesting.
Yeah, it's always interesting because it's hard to scout both sides of your opponent's base with how big the wood line is, and you don't know how walled Nicov is down there to the south.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also don't know, did Nicov tower? Like, if Nicov towers that wood line, and that's the direction you sneak with the archers, you're not going to feel like it's a good move. This is actually great for Nicov. Just seeing those archers, knowing they're not headed to his base, will make him feel very comfortable. Also, 2 blacksmiths for Nicov, so he's going to get those upgrades pretty quickly.
Oh, yes. Double blacksmith. He just wanted to be extra walled with the blacksmiths there.
Yeah, I mean...
The thing is, he's mega heroes too, so he gets the 1 upgrade for free. He really doesn't. If there's a civ, you don't need double blacksmith for the mega heroes.
Hey, you just wait, all right? You just wait. He's gonna be getting 2 upgrades at once at some point. So I think that's another tiny example of how Nikov's maybe not 100% sharp right now. Sitaux seems to be a bit cleaner with some of his decisions and transitions so far.
A nice job by Nicov picking a villa on one of those farms away from the TC.
Yep,
He's gonna go for another.
That's another one. And so Nicov heard me say that he hasn't been sharp, and that's what Nicov can do. That was sick. Well played. This will be crossbow war for both. There's more archers for Sitaux. Sitaux will be in Castle Age a bit faster, but it's not a significant amount more. But micro is going to matter here. There's still no tower for Nicov. So if he doesn't win this fight, he's going to be in a horrible position, and one of his archers goes down. I think he was trying to kill a villager again, and so he lost the archer.
And this is extra tricky because now Sitaux has his scouts forward and supporting the archers, and Nicov immediately goes to throw up a tower.
Yep, that's smart. You have to. Good recognition. He tried to hold off on it so he could drop the TC later, but he has to drop this tower. Sitaux sees it. Sitaux won't have his upgrades for another couple seconds. And that's actually well played from Nicov. He doesn't lose a build. The tower does complete. He shouldn't lose an archer as long as he runs side to side. But now Sitaux should know that the gold's exposed.
And he's heading right over towards it. Nicov didn't really wall far enough away that the crossbows can't harass the villagers, so he's going to need to keep his army occupied trying to defend there.
Mm-hmm.
And he should be okay at this point.
I mean, Sitau's just beating him to all the things that you would want here. He does lose a crossbow. He does lose another crossbow.
That was big.
Really nice micro from Nicov. Nicov needed that. But Nicov will now need to out-micro ballistics here. He can do it, but if he doesn't do it, he's going to lose all of his gold and maybe lose the entire game, and ballistics is already paying off. Such an awkward position right now for Nicov TOS, but he now knows ballistics is in. Those volleys told him.
Now, though.
Wow.
He's going to get just enough crossbows down that his scouts will come back and save him.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, he'll get the kills. He has ballistics on the way. He kills these crossbowmen. Sitaux only has 6 or 7 units back at home. And Nicov, impressive holds. What a player,
I had
man.
to throw up a tower, but other than that, he is safe. And now slightly larger army than Sitaux has. We see the 3rd range for Sitaux. And he's going to keep pumping out crossbows.
My apologies, but apparently my cursor has not been visible the entire day. Or maybe that just changed. I can only apologize for that. I obviously can see my own cursor, so didn't realize.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's...
I know that because sometimes I turn the cursor off to record stuff in OBS, and then you forget to turn it back on.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, at least in my case, it's a difference between what I see and what a viewer might see, so that's a screw up on my part. All right, so Cav Archer switch for the Magos. This is your go-to unit in this matchup. You're gonna want those CA, but you need Bloodlines for these to be really tanky, and I'm just not really having that much faith in Nikov's economy as well. It's 2 TCs for Sitaux. And cheap Hindustani villagers, great eco upgrades for him. Could potentially be on the 3rd TC. And he's also making skirms. So if he can get to elite skirm and crossbow, the CA might not be able to find too much value here.
Yeah, and Nicov also still is kind of pinned in his base to defend that gold if the crossbows come forward again.
Yeah, I think Nicov just... This is the product of having to switch into CA so late. He doesn't have the numbers to necessarily match. He's really concerned about taking the engagements. And Sitaux, looking pretty good. 51 Vils versus 48. Knows the Cav Archer transition's coming. Has the time to go for Elite Skirm. We see a lot of instances where people don't have the time to make a transition. Or when they do make the transition, they've lost all their army while they're making it. So, I like this from Sitaux.
Yeah. And Nicov in that workshop going for the Mangonel, which is kind of a more interesting decision these days for the Mangonel versus the Scorpion because he already has ballistics in.
Yeah.
And that does, of course, apply to the Scorpions now.
Look at this from Sitaux, though.
Loop around and counterattack.
It wasn't like Sitaux placed this just over the last 30 seconds. He knew that this could eventually happen, and he preemptively house-walled towards that TC for, this circumstance. That's really well played from Sitaux. Still taking Nicov off of that gold. Needs to keep his crossbowman alive. And he will keep some alive anyways. But Nicov needs a bigger shot than that. Nicov needs to kill the crossbowman. There's also some skirms underneath his tower right now. And Sitaux, 5 villager lead still. Just not so certain about skirms underneath the tower. I don't know if that's actually accomplishing a lot.
He does at least have the armor on them, but they're under the TC too.
Yeah.
I mean, they did get a couple of Vils. I do see 3 or 4 dead bodies there.
I mean,
forced a lot of idle time.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think the idle time maybe is worth it. My concern for Sitaux is, can he deal with the siege with his current army comp? Like, double Mangonel is actually very threatening, and he might need a siege workshop of his own. Remember, you can't make knights with the Hindustanis, so it's not like that can help you against 2 Mangonels.
Yeah, and it's not like he has any scouts left over to turn into light cav. You already lost them.
Yeah. No horse collar for Nicov. Third TC's coming up. Sitaux runs into a Mangonel shot. He wants this position for the siege workshop. If Nicov advances forward, though, Nicov could potentially deny this. Sitaux kind of boxing him out right now.
Yeah. And Nicov even has those Vils forward to repair the Mangonels. So this is going to be a really tricky fight for Sitaux.
Yep, agreed. And Nicov knows that Mangonel's weak, and he needs the repairs. He does get the repair. But Sitaux's losing his crossbows. Sitaux's siege workshop completes. Nicov only 8 Vils behind, and Sitaux losing his army control in the middle. He does have another army of skirms and crossbows near the gold, but Nicov has found other golds.
Yeah, Nikov's micro has been much better this game on the army attacks as he right-clicks a deer.
Yeah.
But he is, look at that KD. He's now 46 to 28, and that's all due to taking better fights and defending at home. And now there's a few skirms he needs to defend against, but being walled there by the gold is okay, as he now has a TC on the other gold, so he can abandon that for now and just focus on the army at the front.
Pretty crazy micro from Sitaux here, though, and the villager's not around anymore from Nicov to repair. And the fact that he got the siege workshop up gives him so much potential. Lands another really big shot. The Cav Archers have to run home. And the small army from Sitaux is now through. And it probably won't kill too much, but it is something, and it's just more reactions for Nicov. So Sitaux can go for TC number 4.
Yeah, that's when we saw Nicov tanking that Mangonel shot when their army was moving in on the back. And that's kind of the reason why in that fight where Sitaux is microing, you do see the Scorpions these days. It's just people have gotten so good at out-microing the Mangonels that having ballistics on the Scorpions lets them get better hits.
I think the problem is... My feeling on Scorpions right now is early Castle Age Scorpions are still very weak because 1 Mangonel or 2 Knights get at it and everything dies. But when you have an eco like this is actually the time where you can go like, ballistics, double workshop, and at least with certain civs get to the numbers. But I think it just felt it felt difficult before for Nicov to find a way out of this. Mangonels felt like the best option, but the second he lost his army control in the front, this is just falling apart for him. Man, he also...
Nice outposts for Sitaux so he can see the raid and garrison and only lose 1 Vil.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that is where Nikov's army is right now, and he needs damage, but he can't find it with the TC being garrison.
Yeah, that house wall you mentioned is really nice for Sitaux. This map can come down to finding ways to wall despite the 1 tile of rock.
Yeah. Look at the micro there from Sitaux. Saves his Mangonel. Also dodges the other mangonel shot. Man, he's playing fantastic. And so I'm kind of feeling like with all this map control for Sitaux, this is his game to lose. 4 TCs. So the Vil lead should definitely be his. I think that the next thing you're missing here, if you're Sitaux, is a castle in the middle.
Yeah. And also, all the gold is in the middle, so once you run out of your main resources, you do need to get there. And castles there can be really strong, especially if you can then get imp faster and win an initial Trev War. You basically deny all of the gold from your opponent.
Crazy value. That army on the outside still harassing. Will actually snipe the monk in the final moments there too. And then Sitaux's also taking incredible fights on the front here. And, well, T-West, I apologize. I'm sure you can see the direction this is possibly going. And I also had fast forward on. So, yep, Nicov took some bad fights. Loses his mangonels. And resigns.
I see a mangonel shot. And there's GG. Okay. He loses 2 mangonels in 1 shot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really rough at this point. 30 military behind. Still an army from Sitaux in the back. He has no way to get map control. And I think a small part of this is he also knows that he's already in the playoffs. So maybe a little less fight considering that knowledge.
Yeah. And also, you kind of see how rough the Civ matchup can be for the Magyars if they're not in a position to go kind of heavy scouts and make it like messy and feudal. Just that eco discount on the Vils for the Hindustanis. That 4th TC being added in from Sitaux while still having a smooth eco gives them such a nice advantage here. Yeah,
I think Horsecollar plays a pretty big role in that. You save a lot of wood. And
yeah, that too. Because Nicov, like mid-Castle Age, he didn't even have Horsecollar.
Yep.
So he was reseeding farms the whole time.
Yep, I'm with you. I think if you're going scout opening here, you got to squeeze it in. I do think, though, that Sitaux just played the cleaner game. And even though Nikov's micro was really good, and he had like a 20 kill lead at one point, Sitaux reversed that. KD ended up being even in the end. So in terms of placements, the next 2 games don't actually affect anything. Sitaux will be second in the group. Nicov will be third, but $40 on the line and some good high-level Age of Empires. T-West. Sitaux has 2. Oh, he did it. He actually got the deer off the edge of the map. I was about to get on my soapbox about the deer change, and he fixed it, and everything's good.
Okay. Yeah, because I did alter that for Acropolis, because I saw the deer were consistently by the edge, and I moved them off of the edge for that map. I haven't seen it too much anywhere else, and at least on this map, like you have that extra time to push it in case it does run there. It's like sometimes it's not at the edge, but then you scare it to the edge when you're pushing the other deer. So
yes, and then it's hard. Right now, it's hard to get them off the edge. So thankfully, everything's fine. Again, the stakes here, Sitaux and Nikov's positions are set. Still $40 per win, and lots more money and pride on the line here. Bit of practice as well. There's no practice better than the actual tournament. Practice sets are just not going to replicate the feel of any nerves. But pretty classic matchup here. Bohemians, Burgundians. Honestly, some people consider this to be the closest matchup. I think I prefer the Burgundians if the Bohemians aren't aggressive. I'm not sure what you think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about this map having 9 relics, where that can really benefit the Burgundians to collect 5+, and it's not that hard to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, I think about it in terms of approach. What the Burgundians want is they want to be able to use their cheap cavalry, and boom. And on a map that has the outer area and the inner area, unlike Arena, I prefer the Burgundians. Now, if this was just Arena, I'm pretty involved in the... Well, I'm not involved in the clown scene. But, I know their opinions, right? I'm well aware of their takes. And most of the clowns are actually going to prefer the Bohemians. And I think that's just because Bohemians are slower. And on Arena, you only have the middle area, not the outside.
Right. Yeah, and Burgundians do take a while. We already see that that eco upgrade added in for Sitaux there on the lumber camp. And now we see Horsecollar coming in. And just spending that food on the eco upgrades in the Dark Age, yeah, you're getting the upgrades, but they're not really helping your food income. And you just have to click up just a bit slower, even though it's discounted. It's still food you're spending on something other than Vils. And you have to adjust your build for it.
Isn't it always interesting when one of the wall pieces doesn't have a flag on it where you're expecting it. Like the wall on the left for Sitaux.
Oh yeah, so what he did there, he placed the wall and then he realized he didn't need it because the trees were already closed.
Yep.
So he deleted it and then he didn't get a flag on it.
Yeah, exactly. So the game like doesn't re-add the flag for the end piece. But yeah, when I occasionally see that, I assume there's a hole in a wall. But yeah, there's not.
It's kind of tricky to tell because of all the hill there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna click it's you can't click walls and trees on the same time in Capture Age, so I'm just gonna hope that that Sitaux checked.
Yeah, you just have to look at the corners. I'm pretty sure those corners are touching, and I'm sure Sitaux would have checked. So,
do you remember the old feature where you could click the flare button and get the wall to hover over and check?
Weakville, actually. Weakville. Nicov should take that villager. Sitaux has to quick wall her, and Nicov will know there's going to be a quick wall, so you have to try and block and delay your hits, actually, just to try and screw him up here. Oh my goodness, that was sick.
That was, and now's the tricky thing, because you can leave the scout there and just kind of keep the Vil idled, or you can run away and try to actually scout with the scout.
Yeah. I think you didn't take much damage on your scout, and if you're going up this fast in Nikov's position, you should know the Burgundians aren't going to compete with that uptime. So I think you can stay. It's really good awareness from Nicov. Like if the roles were reversed here and it was Burgundians attacking the Bohemian villager, the scout would leave because the Burgundians are normally up a bit later. But now that's at least one idle Vil, and Sitaux might not. Sitau's going to have to like send something over to save her, or she's just stuck there forever.
Yeah. And again, the uptiming difference means that his scout isn't going to be futile for a good 50 seconds or so.
Yeah.
So he's not able to fight Nikov's scout for a while.
Yeah. There is the barracks for Sitaux. Kind of expected, right? So he could eventually make a spear too. I think he'll just bring his own scout over. And she is actually added a gate to save herself. And Nikov's just going to let her go.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about quick walling, when you replace a wall with a gate. And you instantly make another tunnel for the Vil to survive.
So, we were rudely interrupted by the villager being exposed. But yeah, dude, that was super cool. So, we can't do it these days. But basically, the way we used to cast, we didn't use an external program. We would use like a mod that would go over the game. And on Voobly, there was a hotkey that you could press, and it would actually let you hover with a wall piece like you were playing. And you could check to see if there were holes instead of just relying on vision. So that was amazing. You could just be like, oh, is there a hole there? Grab the piece of wall and try and place it like you're the player. I kind of missed that, but I don't think that's possible.
This is a Vil versus scout fight, and a Vil goes down for Sitaux on that blacksmith.
Yeah.
It's a nice job by Nicov.
She lived.
A Vil.
She actually could go down here.
Oh, yeah, the other Vil could go down, too.
Yeah.
Oh, and Sitau's just going to wall her in. Well, now Sitaux knows that the scout is inside his walls, so he can just chase that scout and keep the Vils alive. And look at this quick wall from Sitaux. He's not taking any chances that a diagonal hit kills the Vil over the palisade, so he has a third palisade.
Ah, true. Interesting. And Nicov should know his scout's eventually going to go down. He's just hoping that she is running back home. And, the gate blocks the pathing. And, yeah, that villager will not die. That's slightly risky, maybe. Slightly risky. Slightly.
Now one hit kills the scout. She's fine.
I think he deleted that. He deleted... Nicov deleted the scout. Bro, at least click the Vil and try and kill it. That's funny. he'd rather die by his own hand.
And he's doing a monastery. So Nicov doesn't have loom either, but he's sending a lot of Vils over to the gold.
Oh my god.
And he's on stone.
Look at... Dude, Nikov's gonna go full clown. He's gonna go full clown here. Someone says he killed it. Did he kill it? No, he didn't kill it. No, he deleted it. Guys, he deleted it because he thought you all would laugh, and now people aren't laughing. So everyone laugh. he thought chat's gonna think this is really funny. I'm already in the playoffs. I'm gonna lose the scout anyways. I can't wait to rewatch this later. And everyone's like, well, why did he do that?
Well, we have the castle up at home for Nicov, so not able to go forward with it. And we're just going to have a double Monastery monk defense from Sitaux. And maybe something you don't think about as much with the Burgundians because their eco and their boom is so good, but they actually have a really good monk rush.
Yeah.
So if he wants to go double Monastery defense, he can very easily add in Redemption, Atonement, and afford all the upgrades with his good eco.
This is amazing adaptation from Sitaux. If you play just straight scouts against the castle play, you are going to struggle massively. But he's going to stay 1 TC and go double Monastery. This wasn't part of his initial plan. This is all after he scouted the castle from Nicov. And Nicov is expecting this only to be light cav. So for the time being, Nicov thinks as long as he gets a couple wagons to protect his monks, he's going to be fine.
Yeah. And the good thing is Nicov doesn't have a stable. He just went straight for the castle and monastery, so there aren't going to be any light cav to pick off monks unless they get converted.
Yep, that's true. So Nicov playing this how I think a lot of high-level arena players would play it if it was arena. Fortified clearings, obviously a bit different, but he's going for the full clown mode. Sitaux dropping TC number 2, but he needs redemption if he wants to convert these wagons. It's still pretty far away from being able to get that. I actually think it can be so annoying sometimes as Sitaux comes through. He wants the monk, and he will get it.
He gets it.
There's nothing more annoying than when you're playing with Nikov's approach, and then your opponent gets redemption, and you have to then research redemption to convert your own wagons back.
Right.
That's so frustrating.
Well, in the long run, if there are lots of monks added, Nicov does have access to heresy and Sitaux doesn't.
Yeah,
so
true.
Sitaux has to be careful that it doesn't get too clowny with the monks.
Yeah. Nicov also converted the light cav, which is actually quite helpful. But I don't know if he necessarily is thinking there's going to be that many monks. He still hasn't seen them. And redemption's now on the way for Sitaux. So the best time for this to work is the first time. Sitaux also has sanctity. Nicov is thinking this is just light cav and boom from Sitaux. Let's see. Redemption's in. The conversions could happen. And Nikov's probably like, what? Are you kidding me? And you could tell he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. And so he thought he could get away with killing a monk. Tried it, then backed away and loses 3 wagons. Brutal.
That is amazing for Sitaux. And just after Nicov had added in a petard, so he wanted to go in, and now he's not going to be able to.
Yeah, disaster for Nicov. Absolute masterclass from Sitaux. Goes for the 3rd TC now. You know, at this point, Hera's already first in the group, but Sitaux could have definitely taken first place. He had an opportunity in a game against Hera. I think he was a little tentative. He could have won that game. I remember another game he let slip away. He's had a really good season. Now Nikov's stuck. You've gone for the aggression. Your wagons won't work because it's been neutralized by the monks. You don't have as easy an opportunity to stop Sitaux from getting relics because all you really have is that 1 light cav. And the light cav won't be enough. I think that monk will actually survive.
To be fair, Nicov did get 2 relics, and he hasn't fallen behind in eco right now. He's actually ahead by 1 vil, and only just now is Sitaux adding in the 3rd TC. So the 2 monastery investment actually is a pretty big investment into grabbing the relics, and so far it's only a 1 relic lead.
Yeah, and I think if Nicov can still build up the wagons and maybe get atonement to convert the enemy monks, there's still some chances here. But that is a lot of monks from Sitaux. I really like that. This is an example where some players would be too stuck on the meta, and they would just play light cav and boom. And honestly, most players might. So his recognition of how to play against this is just perfect. And we have chemistry now from Nicov. Okay, so Castle Age chemistry.
And a barrack. So this could be hand cannons.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't talk about this, but there's 2 golds in this right side. This right side is so valuable. There's very little space over here compared to the other side. And there's those golds. And now Sitaux sees that Nikov's bringing his wagons over this way.
And Sitaux had 2 vils there that are going to run into a bear for the workshop.
Well, I like the workshop.
But at least, yeah, it's a bit sneaky. But you're at the point now, if Nicov is going to go archery ranges and hand cannoneers, how do you fight that in the Castle Age? Because they have enough damage that they kill monks, and they also kill mangonels.
Well, but do they kill monks with this many monks? Dude, Sitaux's got 11 monks with 4 more in the queue. You wouldn't expect it, but these monasteries have just been producing nonstop. He also has the outposts, so he won't be surprised in the middle. I am just, again, continuously impressed with how Sitaux is playing today.
Yeah, now Sitaux sending 2 monks to the left side to pick up 2 relics, while also grabbing the 1 from the right. So it will be at least 3 relics for Nicov, but then 3 to 6 with all the relics on this map.
Man, if he could snag some vision upgrades on these outposts and see those archer ranges, that'd be so good. Man, the light cav went through and saw the university, and now the outpost could give him vision of the petards and the hand cannons coming forward. There's only 2 hand cannons for Nicov. Nicov, your petards and your hand cannons could get converted.
He's going to have to run away and garrison again.
Yep. Nikov's stuck. Like, he can't go to the right because there's the siege push starting. And then if he goes to the middle, there's a whole bunch of monks that see everything he's sending. Not an easy spot to be at. And yes, Sitaux's outposts give him the vision on this. He knows exactly what Nikov's going for. What do you do here?
At home against Sitaux with a line of 3 TCs right through the middle of his base. So it's going to be hard without even a mangonel to do damage here.
Yeah, I don't know. But these days, I imagine Sitaux, like other players, has probably been practicing control groups with the monks. Now, it doesn't pan out here. Did I miss Devotion? It feels like Devotion might be in for Nicov.
Nope, it's not.
Wow.
Hand cannons just, they're good against monks in the Castle Age.
Yeah.
It's actually insane how, like, with how much damage they have at 7 range.
Wow, I was expecting
Not
more
quite
conversions
like
there.
But...
Like, I thought there'd be 3 or 4 more conversions there, and Sitaux would be completely fine, but now he needs to panic a little bit and drop some towers in his base. Nikov's still distracted, though. That monk drops off the relic before he goes down. That's relic number 5. There's mangonels and monks and a wagon on the outside. Just love the outside pressure from Sitaux. Makes it so much more difficult for Nicov to push.
But I actually like the ram from the workshop. Nicov could try to steal these relics. Right? It's 6 relics, but it's right underneath where his push is happening.
I think if he has a group of hand cannons and rams right now, it could be good. But his hand cannons are on the back, which is exactly where Sitaux wants them. Nicov has to respect this. He will probably kill this off. 1 mangonel down, 2 mangonels down, and then the wagon should die as well.
Perfect. The hand cannon is just so much damage.
Yep.
Mangonels, you can't use them in the Castle Age. They just die right away. They don't have the HP that like an Onager does to tank a hand cannon round.
Unfortunately, though, like that is an acceptable loss if you're Sitaux because there's no army to support the ram. And he's about to be an imp. And the monasteries will still have the relics. And now Nicov gets Devotion.
And Devotion, but also he has a Vil lead.
Yeah, and
he can
killed a lot of monks.
And just do hand cannons.
Yeah, he's killed a lot of monks. Imp is scary, but if you already have hand cannons, in Castle Age, it's not too bad. It's not like you have to wait for a strong unit to be available. I think Nicov, he's actually doing this now. The hand cannons are sniping more monks. Devotion pays off. The Rams already ejected some of the relics.
He's killed so many monks with them.
Yeah. All that gold income that you're going to get from the relics slowly disappearing here, and Nicov making it messy. Nicov still has not clicked Imp, though, and now Cavalier's out. But it's not like Sitaux's up to 40 or 50 on food right now. He only has 24.
Yeah, Nikov's starting to add in some barracks, and you'll have to go Castle Age Pikeman now against the Cavalier. Which, I mean, as the Bohemians, isn't even that bad. They do still get extra bonus damage.
Yeah. And look at Nikov's hand cannons kill more monks on the right side. So this is just a situation where I think we were expecting, if the game is played perfectly, oh, big shot. But if the game is played perfectly, that the conversions were going to come in, and they just didn't for Sitaux. So it's got to be something other than monks now for him to win this game.
Yeah, that thing is going to be Cavaliers.
And now Nicov.
It's still kind of tricky to raid because he doesn't have the armor, so he can't run underneath the castle. And these pikemen are going to come out.
Look at Nikov's eco. Look at his farming eco. And then look at Sitaux's farming eco. Sitaux does not have near as many farms. So well played to Nicov.
I'll-
Now,
I'll
some of that
I'll do your
eco's in the
favor,
middle.
T90.
Yeah.
Here, look at that TC on the right in the middle. Look at how far that farm is on the
Okay.
left of that TC.
Okay, so yes, look at that. But then look at how beastly Nikov's micro has been, and there's your answer, okay? It's because of the farms. So poor farms just means you're an incredible micro player. That's all I'm saying. Even though
Exactly.
that's actually not the case for me at all.
No,
But that's what I tell
definitely the case.
myself.
That's definitely the case.
That's what I tell myself. So Nicov staying in Castle Age, pikeman and hand cannon. Castle now from Sitaux. See, these farms for Nicov have been forced towards the middle, which he can't really defend if this castle goes up. So he's going to drop his own castle. Pikes and hand cannons defending from the Cavalier. And will the castle go up? I think it probably goes up for both of them here.
It probably does, although the hand cannoneers are there. Sitaux has to send even more villagers.
This is crazy, dude. I mean, Sitaux can make trebs, though. Nicov cannot. But Nicov has 20 more vills. And Nicov arguably has the better army with hand cannons and pikemen, so...
And he can't just go rams and petards here and try to clear that castle.
I could try. I think...
I'm a bit worried about the stables in the back, though, because Sitau's adding more with those forward vills he still has.
Yeah. I love that from Sitaux. Think about it, though. If he didn't have that push in the north earlier, Nicov wouldn't have the farms where he does now. Nicov would have used the back of his base. But Nicov can't use the back of his base because of that. And now, yet again, when Nicov needs to push the middle, he's going to have some annoyances with the push from Sitaux. It's really smart play. And hand cannons microing again from Nicov. Good, perfect splits. Doesn't lose a single hand cannon there. Will have to respect that. And meanwhile...
Now he has to micro in two places at once, though.
Yeah.
And it's getting trickier for him.
Yeah.
He does click imp.
6 relics for Sitaux. The Cavalier finding some good damage because Nikov's distracted. And Nicov is going to lose this castle. He has no response for the trebs. And Sitaux is starting to get a lot of momentum now, T-West.
Also starting to get out some cannons.
This is a crazy game, dude. This is absolutely crazy. Like, Nikov's probably going to lose the Vil lead, but he will have 2 castles and decent enough army as the Bohemians. Maybe it's doable.
And I still feel like in this matchup, Bohemians usually have the better army. And if you're going to have a really long late game, the Burgundians, their only advantage would be having more relics.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think...
And perhaps mobility on the sides, right? Because like if this is arena and you're just running straight into halbs, then you can't really do much. But if you have more room to run around on the outside, then you have room to raid. Like Sitaux still has this... And now archery range is being added to the back.
Sitaux just continues to build up. I'm still waiting for an archer range to come up at home. He is dropping a couple. Yeah, that seems key to me right now. He could make his own gunpowder, and Burgundian hand cannons are actually better than Bohemian hand cannons. It's going to be tough for Nicov, because then pikeman isn't a good option. His own gunpowder is kind of outgunned, I guess, and Sitaux just adapted so well early Castle Age, and this push on the right side has done so much for him. The TC's now down for Nicov. Nicov with some crazy walls to stop Sitaux from raiding the other areas, but that's just so much work. Sitaux just pushing.
And the hand cannoneer is going to come out on the right, and there's one Vil that remains alive. And if Nicov can pick that off, he's going to be much happier knowing that this forward is stopped. And he needs one more hit.
Pretty crazy. It feels like Sitaux should have 30 more pop than he does, because he has such good control. Like, he's raiding in 2 different areas, and he's pushing the middle, but I think we haven't seen the hand cannon count rise up yet. And Nicov down to 17 on food. I'm seeing eco exposed everywhere. There's monks from Sitaux converting a lot as well, protecting the trebs. I think Sitaux...
And once he does get imp, those monks get block printing, so they're much better at dealing with the hand cannons.
Yeah.
It feels like Sitaux is just about to push in and take out that castle and win the game here.
Yeah, I agree with you. It feels like Sitaux has this. Just such great fight. But Nicov has bombard cannons. And bombard cannons can swing these engagements. And Sitaux loses his bombard cannon. Hold the phone. If you lose the middle of the map, this is horrible for you. So maybe Nicov could do this.
It's tricky with all those monks out, though, and they can convert the cannons.
Nicov had like 1,500 golds. And he made the cannons.
That was a nice shot on the monks.
Yeah, only one conversion on the bombard cannon. Sitaux gets another conversion, though. 2 conversions is totally worth it there. Bro, what a messy game.
The trap is cleared.
This game
now
is
the
so
push
messy.
On the front is stopped.
Nicov is rebuilding that TC?
He wants the farms. Spent a lot of wood on those farms.
He honestly, he needs that TC to go up. He needs the farms. He needs the gold.
And he wants the gold, too.
Yeah.
He wants the gold. He doesn't want to lose the gold.
Well, I mean...
Honestly, Sitaux with some bills there, he should go steal and delete some of those farms before the TC goes up.
He might do it. He might drop a mill there. That's a TC you place when you're not really able to think clearly. You're being raided elsewhere. There's still the hand cannons coming from the side. There's Cavalier now coming from the left side stables from Sitaux. And TC does actually complete, but most of the villagers died, and now Nikov's down to 88 pop.
Yeah, now T is going to struggle. Now T doesn't have the Halb upgrade, so without Halb, the hand cannoneers have become a lot less useful, and the pikemen are not as good at fighting the Cavalier at this point.
And yeah, Nicov, it's kind of funny. He took decent enough engagements with these bombard cannons. He killed off a bunch of monks. Maybe someone could think he could push the middle, but he's got nothing else. Army just kept continuing from the backside from Sitaux, and Sitaux gets another win. We still have that final game. We know Sitau's second place in the group. We know Nicov is third. But well played from Sitaux. Just seems to be a slightly better player here.
Yeah, he's been playing really well today.
Honestly, guys, the side push was sick. The sneaky army was sick. And then managing everything else, fantastic. But the best thing about this from Sitaux was the opening of double Monastery and delaying his TCs. It is so easy to just go light cav and think, oh, I'll just add siege against the wagons. But then your opponent gets redemption, they convert you, and they have all the initiative. When he converted those 3 wagons, it stopped all of Nikov's push. And Nicov had petards for a while that he was never really able to utilize. He could just never get the push going. But yeah, guys, here we are. We get an extra evac game. Still $40 per victory here, but positions are set, and we've got a Japanese for Sitaux and Armenians for Nicov. One thing here before, I'm sure T-West has some points here about map scripting or something. The final set today is Tato against ACCM. Winner of that series will go first in the group, and loser of that series could be out of the playoffs, just depending on how badly that loss is.
Right. Well, if you want to know something about map scripting here, you see the cracked terrain that's all on this main land with the dirt. There was a bug in DE that they didn't fix for a while, that if you placed a farm and then deleted the farm foundation, it would remove the damage multiplier of the cracked terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually douche really effectively on this map, because you could create a safe spot for your TC, and your opponent could not move their starting TC. Thankfully, that was fixed.
Oh, was it fixed? I thought you could still do it.
It was fixed. No, it was fixed.
Okay.
But yeah, you go for a crazy douche, because obviously you can't put a farm under your starting TC because it starts on the cracked terrain.
Yep.
But your opponent could place and remove a farm and then build their TC on that spot and douche you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Did you ever see a game where that actually happened? TC dropping?
I never did, but it's like Dave hoping for a demo behind the rocks. I was always hoping for it.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, well, I knew what I had seen is some people who knew about that bug when they would place a castle on a hill. They would place farms, delete the farms, and place a castle. That way their castle wouldn't, receive more damage. But I'd never. That would be next level, dude. I actually got really upset. I thought I missed that game, but turns out it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened. It's something that they fixed, thankfully.
Isn't it kind of crazy that we, when talking about actual Age of Empires 2 strategy, say douche? Like it's a legitimate, it's an official term. And like,
yeah,
people are coming back to the game. They might be really confused.
I mean, no, it's the type of thing. If people played the game years ago and they come back to it, they're gonna know the term. It's the new people who are confused, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, there's other ones as well that we just kind of get used to. But I always try and mix it, so I won't like if there's a term like that, I will still say what it is, like TC drop for the random person that's sadly confused. But that is, you know, it's what the strategy's called.
All the words you have to add to the cleared list for your chat filters. So
Oh
that you
yeah,
can
dude.
talk about the game.
Yeah, it'll probably let you say that, but if you were to say dock or house, it'll mute that.
Yeah. I remember when it censored the taunts, like you type yes and it would get censored.
Bro, I remember when they added Haboob as an official map in the game, and anytime there was a lobby where they were playing on the map Haboob, you couldn't see any of the data for the lobby. Like their own official map got caught in the chat filter. Now that one's kind of funny because it, you know, has got boob, but I get why they do it because they don't want to actively moderate the game. Probably that is money and all that stuff, and they want to be able to cover their asses a little bit. So if someone says some really toxic stuff, they can be like, we have a chat filter, and unfortunately our chat filter has failed, and we will do better. You know, they don't just want to have nothing. But considering the average age of the player base, I would love it if the chat filter was actually toggleable. You know, like I don't mind
Yeah,
if
like
someone
it is in Age 3, right? Like in the original AoE 3, you could toggle the chat filter on and
Really?
off. It'd be nice if you could just do that. Yeah.
So AoE 3 gets that and not a DLC? Okay, all right.
I don't know if their DE still lets you toggle it. But the original Age 3, if you go to the options menu, you could turn it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that big a deal. Is this on my top 10 of things I want the game to see? Absolutely not. But I got ranting a little bit here. So
Oh, we have a Loomless Vil, though. A Loomless Vil for Sitaux, and Nicov jumps it on a hill. And that could be a really nice pick.
That,
yeah. Runs away, though.
I'm a little surprised. I think Nicov mishit there and maybe didn't fully recognize how close the TC was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he didn't quite know exactly where the TC was. I mean, it is in the same spot every time, but...
Yeah, I don't want to lose that
That's
scout.
actually about the craziest thing. I think there's a map that was called Low Tides, where not only was the TC in the same spot every time, but there was a road connecting the TCs. And I still would see players lose their scout to the TC.
The worst one for me is, I think the worst possible map... Well, no, not the worst possible map to lose your scout, because I think the worst possible map to lose your scout would be Houseboat. If someone were to lose their scout to a TC on Houseboat, that'd be bad. But Ravines is pretty bad because you go down that hill, and then you know at the top of the hill, and then you also have outposts. And I actually saw someone lose their scout on Ravines once, and I absolutely lost my mind. I was like, well, this player is not all there today.
Well, we have Feudal Age on the way from both these players. Sitaux went for that very aggressive dock in the middle that I've seen a couple of times, but Nicov with a very defensive dock on the back. Sometimes you see both players go to the middle and you get those fire galleys, but this is usually someone who wants to be aggressive on the water, and as the Japanese isn't as afraid of losing their fishing ships. Yeah,
there's also, I don't think he had to travel this far for it, but there should be more deep fish as well. Whereas if you dock the very back, you can see in the case of Nicov, he's almost finished with the deep fish that are very close. So I think it's dual use, full walls from Nicov, and I think Sitau's going to see this pretty much for the first time. So Nicov playing defensive here, has to respect that Japanese could be aggressive with man-at-arms. It's not man-at-arms, though, for Sitaux. It's going to be archers and walls as well. So I think...
So we have skirmishers on the way for Nicov to defend. And he did also move out with the mule cart. So the mule cart is something that wasn't in the game when we designed this map. So it provides you with some new opportunities to both take that wood line and also the deer next to it when you go to the outside.
Wait, no, I think it was in the game when we designed the map because...
it was for Hidden Cup. I don't think it was there, right?
No, it
DLC
was.
was after Hidden Cup?
It was before, yeah, because we had Georgians played on it once at least. I remember a game that went for 3 hours and down to the final couple trees, the longest game of Hidden Cup 5. Funnily enough, though, Armenians was like never played. And I think since then people have become a lot more comfortable with the Armenians. I'm now second-guessing myself, though. Yeah.
a really good water sieve. And we see Nicov using the fishing ship to absorb some fire as the fire galley comes in.
Nicov did
But
scout
they can
that
also
dock
kind of-
position, too, so he knows the fishing ships are there.
Yeah, but what they really like is getting to Cilician Fleet in the late game. But this is a map where you can win the water, but sometimes it doesn't feel that great to win the water, and a lot of times people just focus on the land.
Yep. Yeah, like water matters. I think the biggest aspect of water beyond fishing ships is actually protecting the crossing so people can't evacuate. So if you have a fire ship and a demo there, villagers can't escape. That has more of an effect than maybe anything else. But pretty passive play overall. Sitaux sending his archers to the outside right now because he scouted that Nikov's walled on the inside. But Nicov has already towered the outside. So smart thinking.
Yeah, towered and partially walled. And he also has a spear out there to scout, so he'll know if those archers come around.
And then Nicov scouting. And Nicov didn't see a flag on the range. So Nicov should expect the army has moved out. And he knows he's pretty much protected everywhere but on that gold. So I think because of where Nikov's taking gold that's exposed, he's going to keep his army at home for the time being.
Yeah, and he should be able to see that scout running around. So that should clue him into the archers. As you said, no flag on the range.
And I think
Should see it soon.
at this level, if you see Sitaux's scout active like that, you should almost expect that the archers are going to follow. And I think he saw that the scout was active. The archers come in. And nice defense there from Nicov. Tower gets some hits.
Kind of tricky to defend this because your mule cart garrisons by itself sometimes, and you want to get the villain side. And we've seen Nicov garrison that a couple times so far.
Yeah, it can be really frustrating, but kind of like the land defense for Nicov. What I don't like, though, is that he's just starting to lose his fish. Seems like he actually defended 2 of them. His fire galleys are actually picking off vills as they cross. And now Nikov's army also finds Sitaux with the archers and the skirms. And wow, great start for Nicov here.
And that scout now only on 2 HP.
It's kind of tough.
Yeah, absolutely great start.
If you dock where Sitaux is docked, it's kind of tough to get Navy in support of your crossing because you're on the other side of the island. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and that's why Nicov docks where he did, because there are fewer fish, but you can get to the crossings more easily.
Yep.
And that's how we designed the map. We didn't put any fish in the middle to make it a bit trickier to decide where you want to put the dock to prioritize the fish versus the crossing.
There were actually early versions of the map where we did have deep fish in this middle area. And then we decided to remove that because we didn't want... If there was deep fish there, everyone would always dock there. And then it would snowball. Whoever would win the water would win the game much faster because they could also control the crossing right away. So just changes that we made over time. Castle Age is on the way for Sitaux. Nikov's pretty far away, though, and he's got 13 on gold right now. So this is not solid food economy for him.
I mean, isn't he has a market though? Isn't 13 on gold a perfectly solid food economy?
Could be, especially with the Armenians. And this is amazing micro from Nicov. Nicov kills 2 vills. It could easily be more. You could tell he's a little distracted somewhere. Sitaux doesn't get the walls down, has to fall back towards his own tower, and is losing on water now.
Oh, I don't. Little thing, but Nicov just attacked that boar with his whole army, and the boar just stood there and didn't try to chase anything. That was weird.
Maybe the boar was posturing with strength, and the army got intimidated. Like if the boar freaked out,
definitely what happened.
If the boar freaks out, they're gonna kill it. But if the boar just stands there and takes it like a champ, I think they run away. They go kill villagers instead.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that, because they do kill a villager. And Sitaux panic throwing up that tower on what's left of the wood line. Nicov has his fires he can run behind, so those skirms can't really chase.
Oh, we got amazing gate there from Nicov, but Sitaux gets away. Wow, I mean, Nikov's got the population lead, but it feels like Sitaux can work with this, right? He could drop the second TC. His fishing ships are still alive. This is manageable for Sitaux.
Yeah, and having the Japanese fishing ships to stay alive is huge for him. If he were another Civ, he'd probably have lost another 2 or 3 fishing ships to those fires.
A villager's not repairing right now. You could tell he tasked the village to repair. Maybe it couldn't get there. So loses out on that. Is getting elite skirm. Never great to open with elite skirm when you only have 5 skirms. But I guess if your opponent also has around the same and it's going to be a skirm war, it's not going to hurt too much.
Nicov going to find that TC.
Yeah, but
Can't really get the vills with that tower there, but at least he knows it's up and he was able to be a bit annoying to it.
Japanese fishing ships are just so stupid, dude. Like we're used to it now. It's been in the game for so long, but
yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
It's one of those things where like, oh yeah, you can understand maybe a Civ has more HP, but like double the HP and armor is a pretty big bonus.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. 2 TCs for Sitaux.
It's even more apparent when you have the fire galleys, and it's not just the galley wars anymore, because they're so crucial for blocking fire in some situations.
Yeah, which people didn't do in the past, right? These days, everyone's doing that, and that's the biggest role it plays. Sitaux ran through the TC from Nicov. I'd like to remind you guys, 1 farm for Nicov right now. That's his food eco. Maybe a couple on berries and deer. Sitaux...
He's buying at the market.
Sitaux has farms. Now, Sitaux also has exposed villagers on this TC, but I don't think Nicov notices it's being built. He's still distracted on fires.
And he is finally killing some fishing ships. It's taken a while.
What a game. This is what's just so good about the map, right? There's so many different things. Nicov is going to be ahead on water. There's no doubt, but feels like Sitau's slightly ahead on land. And I like how Sitau's still at least making Nicov work to fully close out the water. It hasn't been easy for Nicov. Might be trending in Sitau's direction though. Without the fishing ships, he still has decent enough food eco. It's only 8 on food actually, so maybe I'm exaggerating. But he is banking up stone for a castle, and it's 3 TCs versus 2.
Food starting to get more expensive at the market too. These players have been buying a bit, especially Nicov. If you check the market usage, Nicov has been using that market nonstop for the past few minutes.
Yeah, he actually should run out of his gold pretty quickly, right? He's only got 1,100 gold remaining near his TC, but he does have another gold underneath his other town center.
Yeah, Sitaux just bought food, and I bet he's going to look at that and be shocked at how expensive it is and just realize, well, Nikov's been using that market a lot.
Yep. Like, kind of makes you feel good, kind of makes you feel bad. You paid it a price you shouldn't have paid. You feel scammed, but also that means your opponent's having a rough time. And skirmishers from Nicov with some siege. And Sitaux will also go for a siege workshop. What a close game. 65 population for Sitaux. 62 population for Nicov. And someone says, I'm starting to see why Nicov was so thankful for the other final round results. Yeah, exactly. If Barrels or Classic Pro had just one more win, this would be ridiculous. Also, imagine this. If Barrels got 1 win against Hera, Nicov is in trouble right now, and then Sitaux could have stolen first place from Hera if he wins this game.
Yeah, really.
It was really, really close. And of course, that's forgetting Classic Pro Veleza, which is a whole nother thing, which could have potentially pushed Nicov out of position. So, but which civ do you think is better here?
So I really like fortified churches in defending mangonel pushes. And we see Nicov put one on his home island. If he can get another one up, I think in front of his gold by his workshop, I think that TC becomes really easy to defend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I also love just outposts. Outposts here to know what the opponent's doing, where are they coming from. Placing them everywhere feels super helpful. But I'm thinking about the civs right now because it's trending late. Sitaux is ahead. But it's not over, and I gotta lean a little bit more towards Japanese, personally. I like the Cav Archers. I think they're really strong. Their Trebs with Kataparuto can be great, and Armenian Siege is just... feels like it lacks a lot. And their tech tree is... It's not that bad compared to the Japanese. but it's a little bit more awkward to utilize, I'd say.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I think is that the Armenians could win the water and potentially use Dromans to control a good part of the map. Oh, we see a castle drop here from Sitaux. We see a castle drop sending 10 vills forward and wants to put it right on Nikov's starting TC.
All right, well, Nicov, time to evacuate fully, my friends. Get out of here. And honestly, pick up the relics. Look, he's going to do it.
He's doing it.
Let's go.
He's bringing the relics with him.
How many times have players forgot their relics, and then the opponent just steals the relics? He picks them up with the warrior priest. He's going to try and flee now. He has to save the warrior priest inside the TC for now. But full-on evacuation for Nicov. But that's not good. That's a town center now that is basically useless. And he's only had 2, and Sitaux has been on 3. So Sitaux now a 15 eco lead.
Yeah, you know, he might need a transport ship now to save those monks if Sitaux can control the shallows of those knights.
Yeah, hard to pay attention to that. You still do need to add the eco. There's knights. There's skirms. Sitaux has just pulled so far ahead. And that TC is now relegated to a wheelbarrow research TC for Nicov, but he's lost control here.
And having that third TC in for Sitaux is paying off in the Vill count. There's so many games I've seen where I feel like you get that extra TC in, and then you get to this point in mid-Castle Age where you're at around 85 to 65 Vills. Nicov kills his own skirmishers.
Oh, Nicov accidentally kills his own skirms. We didn't see that, though. We didn't see that. Nobody laugh. Nicov just trying to be relatable is all he's trying to do. And there go the relics. So the relics are coming over here to a new monastery, I'm sure. To the monastery on the front that you wanted. But, man, Sitaux, another good engagement. Sitaux's even bringing vills across the crossing right now, or at least was considering it.
He's ready to dock.
I like that. I also wouldn't mind guard tower here from the Japanese. I think it's worth it. Even a tower on that shoreline to protect the docks makes it really interesting. But Nicov now has to respect water again because of that dock. And then he still has fires to put out on land.
Fires spread out on land and on water.
And yeah, I'm sure actually that was the joke, wasn't it? Fires. I was going to make the joke and then I realized, oh, that's what he meant. Whoops. Sorry.
Also, I know we looked at some farm placement from Nicov last game. Do you see these 2 farms like by the tower over here?
Well,
on his outside TC. Those are some nice farms.
What is it with you and farms, bro? The farms are... It's the amount of farms, not the placement of the farms that matters, okay? That's the issue, I think. See, Sitaux's got... Honestly, Sitaux's farms are amazing. Never mind. So...
Yeah, his are pretty nice.
Yeah,
some of them are a bit far from the TC.
I tried to find a flaw. But once wheelbarrow is in, everything should be pretty efficient. There's so much micro to focus on. A tough position to move into if you're Sitaux aggressively because the church can fire those arrows and because there's siege all around. Look at this micro. Holy micro, man. We got 3 separate mangonels being microed. And Nicov loses 2 and Sitaux loses 1.
But this is what makes the church so difficult to push with mangonels. It has the same HP as the TC, but I think it takes about 1/5 the amount of wood to repair. Because TCs have that weird thing, they cost like 4 times their cost to repair, and most buildings cost only half their cost. Or TCs cost double their cost, and most buildings are only half their cost. So the fortified churches become almost impossible to push if you have repair bills.
Yep, and that and then 1 mangonel hopping out at random times makes it so difficult to take down. Nicov hanging in there. Knights got deleted a second ago from Sitaux. Sitaux is getting light cav now. And Sitaux a 40 eco lead. And part of that is because he took out the TC with that forward castle. Such a good
feels
play.
Like it should be insurmountable now.
I agree.
Castle. Here come a couple of mangonels.
But Sitaux continues to try and force the fights in the worst possible areas. I think this is actually a position where he just needs patience and imp. But he wants this sweep. He wants to send a message to whoever he's up against in those playoffs now. Light Cav swoop in for the siege. Warrior Priest will go in for the siege. Siege is going to go down for both. But Nikov's castle should stay up here. Yeah, Nicov holds. I mean, this could get to
some mangonels.
this could get to a point if Sitaux doesn't go imp and he's investing his army into the wrong thing. He could die in early Imperial Age to trebuchets and composite bowmen. Look at the sneak stables from Sitaux.
Yeah, right on the edge of that island out there. And, well, this is where Nicov has evacuated, and he doesn't have much room to evacuate to anymore if he gets pushed again. He's stuck here.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's amazing. It's just like, even if you make mistakes here, even if you lose all your light cav, you're constantly pressuring Nicov, and you're going to surround them. I think it's really fun. But light cav with Japanese kind of feels like maybe you just want a castle position and trebs instead. But maybe you can do both. He will place a castle on the left. He's also still raiding on the right. And his eco is flying behind this.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to click him soon.
So well played, dude. So well played. Again, just ever so slightly disappointing from a drama perspective that this final game doesn't matter that much more, right? It doesn't affect who gets first place. Sitaux could have maybe gotten there. Nikov's already safe for the playoffs. And yeah, the light cav, can't say they've killed a ton, but it's been a lot of raiding, a lot of pressure, and imp is on the way anyways for Sitaux. Just a perfect game plan.
And the light cav are everywhere right now. They're in the entire... I mean, not like there's much eco left, but every part of the eco had a light cav.
Yeah. Can't help but think that Nicov, he wants to fight. He wants to remind everyone what he's going to bring to the playoffs. But there's also that in the back of his mind, he's probably just thinking, I feel like I'm dead here. I feel like maybe I should tap out. This has been so painful for so long. The fight's been unbelievable. But Sitaux just keeps coming, man.
Yeah, I mean, look at the KD. Nicov up 86, 87, 58. And he's taking good engagement so far.
Yeah, but I think the issue will be the unit that's actually working well is composite bowman. And you need a castle for composite bowman. And your castle is going to be trebbed by Sitaux's castle in a minute. And so then you have to think about some other type of unit. And the list isn't very long for the Armenians as is. And if you go infantry against the Japanese, they can pretty much match you on that.
Yeah, that they can. Well, one of the civs where Japanese are pretty happy just to go champions and probably fight the Armenians even with the HP.
I just realized Nicov is a minute away from him. I actually didn't see that on screen, so that's my bad.
He is up.
Yeah.
So there's still a chance he could take the Treb fight, but there are 2 forward castles there from Sitaux. So he's going to be down in production, and the problem with the composite bowmen is they're not going to be able to pick off the Trebs. They're not going to ignore the armor that trebuchets have. So Nicov doesn't have a way to run in, and he can maybe get enough Trebs out to trade castles, but he won't be able to destroy the trebuchets before he loses his castle.
Nicov has no clue what's back there, dude. Like, Nicov has no clue. It's not just one castle. It's 2 castles going up there. He sees imp from Sitaux, and he deletes that castle foundation. He had to buy some of that stone as well. And now he'll back it up. I'm sure he figures he has to win the Trebor to have any chance. And he has to push forward because he's being raided constantly in the back of his base. But Sitaux just keeps coming. There's army everywhere. Like, Nikov's eco's an absolute mess. Too.
Yeah, Nicov never cleaned up this this chase that Sitaux did on his island to get the extra ranges and stables there. And I don't see a way for Nicov to win this Trebor now. Sitaux has that production.
And even if he wins...
Nicov still has army, though.
Even if he wins
military, 107 vills.
Even if he wins the Trebor, like, can he make stuff after that? Like, I mean, he is really doing a good job at cramming eco into a tiny area of the map. Just zoom out for a second and look at Nikov's perspective. Nicov has, what is that, like 10% of the map?
If even.
If even?
I mean, it feels like if he wants to keep playing, he's gonna need to destroy those 2 castles and then evacuate again and just kind of like keep rotating around the map.
Yeah. And he doesn't have stone income. Sitaux is the map control. Sitaux has stone income. So Sitaux can out-repair and build castles. Nikov's composite bowmen still haven't been killed. They are a good unit against skirm, for an archer, that is. But Again,
And they're
the
a tricky
castles.
unit to kill sometimes.
Yep. And there's Cataparuto as well from Sitaux. He's on top of it, man. Making every correct decision here. I think the only thing that Sitaux could be doing in these moments that he's not already doing is getting all the relics. There's lots of relics around the map. But might not come to the point where that necessarily matters here.
Yeah, at this point, it's all about the Trebor.
And he's
so
gonna...
also with some light cav, once the castle goes down, he has a unit that he can think about running in and trying to snipe off the Trebs.
Yep, true. Yep, and could maybe use this time. Snag Blast Furnace. Get all the attack upgrades, right? Cannon Galleon from the shoreline could be really helpful as well. And Nicov holding on to his final castle, and he's actually packing up his Trebs because some of those Trebs are being attacked by the Cataparuto Trebs, and he loses one, and he might lose the next, and he might lose his castle here.
Always tricky to pack up the Trebs, because when you pack them, they have less armor, and one shot will destroy them if it hits.
Yeah. And Sitaux, 47 on food. Random units, raiding light cav. I don't know if this was a game plan from Sitaux, but he's doing the same thing here that he did in the previous game, right? The side base has worked perfectly, and Sitaux with the 3-0, second place in the group, an amazing season for him, and only one win behind Hera in the end. So he was close to snagging the first place. I think part of it for Nicov, he did know, win or lose today, he was still going to the playoffs. I'm not saying he didn't fight, but if he had maybe certain strats, maybe he hid some of those things come playoff time. But we at least know where they are, where they're going, and maybe know who their opponents are now. I guess I could pull that up. I think that's still up in the air, though, depending on our next series.
Our base messaged me, and he sent about 3 paragraphs worth of
Tiebreak scenarios,
analysis on the tiebreakers.
Okay, well that's a tiebreak scenario in relation to MBL, I think.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to.
Which matters for who they play.
Yes. Okay. So that's not set yet, basically. That'll be set after the upcoming series, which we'll get into. But I will just like take a peek at the bracket, because we at least know these two are in Group B, and so they were in Group B. So it'll be Sitaux as second in Group B, and then it will be Nicov as third in Group B. Just waiting on who exactly they face from Group C, I guess.